Hey, I'm Brianna Regine, an award-winning brand growth strategist for entrepreneurs and decision makers who feel stuck and are ready to get strategic about reaching their next level. But let's be clear. In this podcast, we ditch the highlight reel and get into the raw, real stories of what it takes to build a brand from the people making it happen. No more perfect perceptions of success, no more unrealistic expectations, no more feeling powerless. This is your go-to space for the real deal Holyfield about business growth, full of obstacles, funny stories, real talk, self-reflections, hot takes on current events, and must-have tips. If you've got a fresh idea brewing, you're a sucker for new strategies and insights, or you need to be reminded of how freaking dope you are, this podcast is for you. Let's get into it. It has been a while since I recorded an episode of the Brand Unveiled podcast. I'm in a new background. It's been a while. It's been a long time coming. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why it's been so long. I've been in business for going on 8 years now. And year 6 was really challenging. Currently in year 7, it's been a very busy year, sort of like a complete turnaround from year 6 in a couple of ways, but definitely more so eye-opening as far as what I want year 8 to look like. And part of the reason why I have sort of been delaying getting the ball rolling again with podcasts, or really just my company's marketing and online footprint in general, is because I have felt like going into year 8, our presence should look a certain way. It should operate at a particular standard that's reflective of you've been in business for 8 years now. And I've been talking it over with my EA and some other experts. And while I was preparing this episode, because today was the day where I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start preparing my content. I'm going to wrap my mind around our content calendar and what it looks like and all of the multi-level steps of planning before you launch or relaunch something or put something out there into the world. I was getting caught up in that, in addition to the legitimate work that I was in and that I've been in all year, which has taken up my time and delayed me from moving forward with this sort of strategy, aesthetic, operating at a particular standard thing that's in my head. And then it hit me. And I don't even know if I'm going to be satisfied with this, because I feel like all of this has to do with wanting things to be perfect to some degree. I have been doing the work. My team has been doing the work. And although we have been silent online, the work has still been getting done. We have still been grinding and moving forward. I have been. So yes, we've been quiet, but our story continues. And months ago, my executive assistant and I, we actually came up with that phrase as far as like, this is how we're going to re-enter the digital marketing space. You know, this is how we're going to set the example. We came up with that phrase. We came up with this idea of like, okay, well, we're going to put something online and make it like a teaser of some sorts or some sort of demonstration of how far we've come. And then we're going to roll out the first episode of the podcast. We haven't been there in a while. And then we're going to go ahead and basically catch folks up about what it is that we've been doing and what we've been building on the back end product wise and company culture and all of this stuff. It sounds amazing. But when I was looking at my videos and my images in my iCloud, because it also had to be cleaned, okay? But I was looking at it from like the beginning. I think it went all the way back to 2016, I think. I, one, became overwhelmed because I was like, I still don't quite know the answer about how I want to approach this reemergence. And then two, on the other side of that was, no, my ideas started to like click. I was like, oh, how cool would it be if like we did this video where it was like year one, and then it was like a powerful word and had some clips from year one, and then year two, and then we took that all the way to year 8. And then at the end of the video, it's like, yes, we've been quiet, but our story continues. Like, boom, like that's storytelling. That's great. You have to be mindful of your idea of something and how you want it to show. You don't want your message and what you know you should have been doing for the longest time. You don't want that to get overshadowed by this grandiose, cinematic, super well thought out delivery. And I think in this day and age of social media, it can be really easy to try and overproduce your content, to overproduce your message, to over commercialize what you bring to the table. And that made me think of sort of 3 things that this current season has taught me. Because y'all know I'm going to give y'all some takeaways. Like, duh, this not just going to be me rambling, although I do feel like I'm doing that. But again, someone gonna hear the message, so it's fine. Takeaway number 1, some seasons require you to marinate on what you've learned or have gone through. Year 6 was my hardest year in business. It was the toughest year financially compared to the previous 3 or so years where we kept going up, up, up. It was a really rough year. I had to stop contracts for certain teammates. I wasn't getting paid. And if I was getting paid, it was like to cover my minimal bills that I had. My friends and family, they stepped up. I had to learn how to lean on my support system in that way. It was a rough year. Year 7, this current year, I was back in the weeds of my business. I had arguably more capital. Well, not arguably, it was fact. Check the P&L. I had more capital and cash flow to work with, but I didn't go ahead and rehire the team that I had paused. I was trying to be better about cash flow, and I didn't want to go back to scaling so quickly and put myself back to where I was in year 6. So this year I was back in the weeds doing day-to-day client work, and I haven't done business development like all year. On the back end, my executive assistant, I keep bringing her up because she is amazing. On the back end, we've done some internal prep to be in alignment with business development, but nothing necessarily consistent, and definitely nothing that has gone out yet, because I have been in the weeds. It's been very lean. It's been just me handling most of the client work. and I have other amazing teammates who are killing it with our federal client. But outside of that, everything else, creative strategy wise, has been me. We started a talent management division, which was super exciting. I've always wanted to do that since year 2 of my business, and we finally did that this year. So I've been in the weeds with that, working alongside a part-time coordinator. So I have been busy, like in my business. And as an entrepreneur of almost 8 years, in my mind, I'm like, I shouldn't be in the weeds. And that's true. I do believe that that is true. However, I would like to think that there are certain seasons that are going to require you to be back in the weeds and the day to day, because that's just what's required of you at this time. I can only imagine that the context of that changes, but year 10, year 20, year 30, if you are still the CEO or someone in a leadership position, every year you're not going to be operating at a place of, oh no, everyone else is just doing the work. I got spoiled. Year 5, oh, year 5 was great. The first part of year 6, baby, yes, it was so nice to have a team do the client work and for me to be able to focus on business development stuff. And not even, I'm going to be honest, even though that was the case, I still, in hindsight, must have not been using my time as well as I should have been, because now that I know what I know, I should have had more results of business development being done. Or maybe I'm being hard on myself. I don't know. But, anyways, different seasons are going to require different output from you. And while it's nice to have a team that believes in your vision, believes in the clients that you work with, does their absolute best, you have to remember that if you're pulled back in, you gotta roll up your sleeves and you gotta get it done at the end of the day. Which leads me to takeaway number 2, which is remember how you made it work the first time. When I first started, I was super ambitious. Within year 1, I did have interns. Why? I don't know. I immediately thought I'm going to operate like the corporations do. I'm going to operate like bow, 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 bow. You can't tell me nothing. No, I don't recommend. When I first started, I didn't have a blueprint. Sure, I did research to try and find the answers that would work for me, but you really don't know until you know. And that means everything as far as how I wanted to position my services, how I wanted to market myself, how I wanted to cultivate company culture, the kinds of clients that I wanted, like everything. And there was a certain element of that time period where you just get scrappy. You get scrappy and you deliver the output in proportion to the knowledge that you have and the resources that you have. And it may not be how you envision, you know, how you envision it, but you have to start somewhere. And again, you don't want the vision to overpower the delivery of the message, especially if the message is timely, but more importantly, especially if the message has been sitting in you and you're supposed to get it out, but you're not getting it out because you're caught up in, now it has to look like a movie trailer, or no, it has to look like this. In year 8, we've been in business for 8 years. It should look a certain way. Girl, pack it up, hang it up, flat screen. Like you will never execute. Imagine, based on where you are right now, had you let your thoughts on what you think supposed to, whoa, slow down. Had you let your thoughts get in the way of you not doing, trying, putting one foot in front of the other, where would you be? Where would I be if I didn't launch or put myself out there because my website didn't look how I wanted it to look, or my content didn't look how I wanted it to look, or I felt like I didn't even have the knowledge to be able to articulate what I thought I should be saying. In the beginning, I started at home. I created videos in my room, and the lighting was terrible. And then I moved to the office in our house and I built my business there. But I remember that time, the way I marketed myself, I was consistent. I was on live often. I repurposed my videos, and looking back on them, they look a little crazy, but they worked. It opened doors for me. It positioned me as an expert in my space. It was what people wanted, or rather needed to hear, needed to see. Representation is everything. And at the time, I didn't really care what people thought, to the extent that it wasn't going to stop, like whatever they thought about me, it wasn't going to stop me from putting out there, because I was getting more back. And I think it's very similar to when you're a baby. You're so innocent, you're so green, you're naive, but there's an element of like freedom that comes with that, where your imagination is so expansive and you're just so curious and you're willing to explore and try new things, and you don't have any preconceived notions about, well, what about this, what if that. You just don't. You just do it until you go through life, and then certain situations and circumstances, they change you, they shift you. You start to pick up certain ideologies and all this stuff. Is very similar to what I feel like this season has been, and probably what is always going to be throughout life, which is you can't hold yourself back. You can't stop yourself from putting yourself out there, because you know deep inside you're supposed to. And those other sort of fancy things that can make your content look better, or meeting different teammates and different experts and having the money to hire those people to deliver the kind of aesthetically pleasing content you want, like, you have to start somewhere. And just because you're not there now doesn't mean that you shouldn't start or continue. Which leads me to my third takeaway. You just have to go for it. I think in this season, I've been in my head a bit about what year 8 means. And I'm still processing that, but I've come to the conclusion, as you can see based on me recording this episode, at a certain point, you just have to say, fuck it. That was my mindset when I started my business 3-4 months before I graduated college. And I said, job, what's that? Psh, I'll do my own thing. I jumped. It's the same thing and the same sort of audacity, because that's really what it is. Audacity I've had to even continue growing my business and be able to say, hey, yeah, we're approaching year 8, multi 6 figures in revenue. Like, there's audacity. And that's honestly my theme for year 8. 2025 is our year of audacity, because year 6 and year 6 was a turning point for us, or at least for me as a leader. Year 7, what I learned marinated, and it was eye-opening and confirmation in many ways about what kind of CEO I want to be. And year 8 is going to require the audacity for me to not hold back at all. Go for it, jump right in, and go get what's mine. So, my name is Brianna Regine. I'm the founder and CEO of Brianna Regine Visionary Consulting. We specialize in brand growth strategy for entrepreneurs and decision makers who are tired of wondering what they should do next and are looking for strategies that'll increase their awareness, credibility, revenue, and scalability. I like to work with brands that are serving underrepresented communities. We work with brands that are in entertainment, lifestyle, nonprofit, startup, and municipalities. And more importantly, we get shit done. I don't play. I do not play. There are many ways that you can work with us. We have done for you creative strategy, operations management, and talent management services. And we also have coaching and consultation services. Year 8, I'm coming for what's mine. I feel it in my gut. I know what's mine. And maybe in a future episode, I will talk more about that. But it's the same feeling I've had when, for the past 3 years, I've written, have a $1 million agency. And then in year 2 and year 3 of those 3 years, I was more specific, a multi-million dollar agency. And I feel it in my gut. I know I'm so close. I'm so close. And you may be asking, well, why? Why is that a goal for you? Because with money, I'm able to follow my zone of genius now, which is to give opportunities to other people. I want to grow my company. I want to continue hiring and nurturing amazing talent that can serve our clients. I also, that amount of money, I'll be able to serve more clients based off of different ideas that I have to create different sources of revenue, not only within the business, but just like different arenas of impact that go beyond just being a service-based business. I can use that money to create opportunities for my family and friends, not only professionally, but personally too. Like, that's why. It's to be able to serve in the ways that I feel in my gut I'm meant to serve. But this episode right here, me getting back into this field of the digital marketing world and online presence world, is what's required of me in my next season to get where it is that I want to go. And I need to remember how I made it work in every season, and always go for it. So, thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe because the episodes are going back on a regularly scheduled program. Okay. We have some amazing Black women entrepreneurs that are going to be joining us as guests because we are reigniting our Black Women Entrepreneurs of America campaign that we started in 2022, the end of 2022, top of 2023. And if you are interested in being a guest on the podcast, we would love to have you come share your story as an entrepreneur. That's literally what this podcast is about, the brand Unveiled, to pull back the layers of this crazy ride that we decided to to start and to continue. And above all else, just remember that there aren't any rules. There are no rules. So you might as well just do what is in your gut anyway. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.